So up next, let's move on to this, guys. 6 things Hogwarts Legacy 2 must fix from the first game. So talking about fixes, but there's also a lot of requests that a lot of people want in the second game. You know, people want kind of like relationship status, so you can gain relationships, you know, negative and positive with different students or teachers, you know, more in-depth classes, things like that. Maybe a good or bad reputation, so you can become a bad wizard, you can become a good wizard, and depending on the good or bad actions you do, you could have different consequences throughout the game and the story. Something like that would be great. Something if they could implement that, but obviously that's quite a complicated system, so we have to see how they go. But anyway, let's dive into this list here, and let's see what these fixes are. So number 7, magical beasts need to feel like part of the world, not a system. Okay, so the magical beast system in Hogwarts Legacy felt like a missed opportunity wrapped in a great idea. While rescuing creatures and caring for them was initially charming, it quickly became clear that beasts existed primarily as a material farm. Players captured creatures, placed them in vivariums, and harvested resources with very little emotional or narrative payoff. For a world where magical creatures are deeply tied to the lore and wonder, this approach felt as shallow and mechanical as they come. Yeah, there's a lot of improvement they could do with the animals for sure. I mean, taming different animals, using them for different purposes, you know, interacting with them on, you know, different bases, and just having them more kind of intertwined with the story and different things that we could do. But that's definitely an area for improvement for sure. But I did enjoy putting them in the vivarium and getting resources and stuff. That's always a fun part of the game, but they could always go further with it and, you know, make it more in-depth. And let's hope that they do that for the second game. Okay, number 6. Gear and loot must stop feeling disposable. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing that drives me crazy with the game. The fact is, you walk through a cave and there's like all these random chests and you pick up the loot and stuff, and 9 times out of 10, it's just disposable items that you don't need. And before you know it, within 5 or 10 minutes of starting the game up, like I've already filled up my inventory with this like useless junk that I don't need. And just like, the only reason I pick it up is because I can sell it. But yeah, I mean, there's just loot everywhere, and most of it's not meaningful. Most of it doesn't feel useful to the game. And I never feel like I've picked up anything, you know, like I pick up a legendary and I'm like, wow, this is super rare. I need this for my mission. There's nothing that's like that tangible when it comes to loot. Nothing that's that exciting. They could definitely work on it. So, loot was everywhere in Hogwarts Legacy, absolutely was, yet almost none of it mattered in any meaningful capacity. Players were constantly swapping out cloaks, gloves, and outfits based on stat increases that barely affected gameplay. Granted, the visual variety was nice, but mechanically, gear felt completely interchangeable and forgetful. Even legendary items lacked identity, which made exploration rewards feel hollow instead of exciting. That's exactly the thing. They need to, in the next game, they need to put like, in a really hard, difficult area, you know, that's full of enemies, that's really difficult to battle your way into. Put the really rare, expensive loot that's difficult to get. Put it in different areas around the map. That gives us a real challenge. Oh, I've just hit level 20. Inside this cave that's exclusive to level 20s, at the back of the cave, once I've fought my way through, there's a, you know, a really rare wand, or there's a really rare, you know, piece of you know, a cloak or a hat or something at the back of this cave, and it makes you explore. It makes you want to, you know, kind of get into the exploration system to find that rare loot, and it's definitely something I need to pick up from that's done better in other games, so I hope they implement that. I'm kind of getting excited talking about it, I'm going to be honest. Okay, number 5. The main story needs to be stronger than the side content. Okay, one of the most frustrating aspects of Hogwarts Legacy was how often the game's side quest completely outshone the main narrative. There are some pretty interesting side missions, I have to admit. Optional storylines like Sebastian Sallow's entire questline delivered significantly better character moments and emotional beats than the central plot. Meanwhile, the main story struggled to maintain any level of urgency and lacked greatly in payoff, despite dealing with themes that should have felt massive. Did you guys feel that when playing through the story? Did you feel that some of the side missions were better than the actual main storyline? I could see where this person is coming from. Some of the subplots or the side missions are pretty damn fun. But whether it's better than the actual main kind of storyline, I'm not sure I'm quite there. But I do understand what this person's saying, and I wouldn't argue too hardly about it. I wouldn't die on that hill, so to speak. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing a more like, I thought the storyline was okay, but I'm looking to see an upgrade, like more action, more intense, more in-depth, more emotional moments, and let's hope they can just elevate the material a little bit more. So number 4, difficulty should demand mastery, not just progression. Even on its hardest difficulty, Hogwarts Legacy rarely pushed players to their limits. Once enough spells and upgrades were unlocked, combat became completely predictable and forgiving. Many items completely trivialized encounters too, like the Edorus potion, which made you invincible for long periods of time. Enemies rarely forced players to adapt to anything, which strained tension from battles and made progression feel automatic rather than earned. Yeah, I mean, some of these potions, if you use these potions in a boss fight, like I found out in the last stream that we did when I was fighting against that gigantic lion-looking beast, I can't remember the name of it, to save my life. Using potions, it's like a get-out-of-jail card. If you're struggling with any mission to take on any enemies, just fill your backpack up with potions, man, and it's like a cheat code almost. But I mean, it's part of the game's mechanics, so it's not cheating, but it does make life a lot easier. So number 3, forbidden curses must actually feel forbidden. Forbidden curses are some of the most iconic and terrifying elements of the Wizarding world, yet they were barely present in enemy encounters. Outside of scripted moments, enemies never use them, despite you, a student from Hogwarts, being able to cast them anytime you want, at will, with absolutely no consequences whatsoever. These two things combined, dark magic feels strangely sanitized. The absence removed the tension of consequence from encounters that should have felt morally and mechanically dangerous. Yeah, that's what I was saying. There should be some sort of reputation system. So if you're in a tight situation where you've got to take on a big boss fight, or, a bunch of enemies to get through to a certain area, there should be a mechanic where basically you can use a forbidden curse in battle, but if you do use it, then it will have a bad, it will have a negative connotation on your reputation system if somebody else sees you using it. So I think that's the kind of thing. So you can use the forbidden curse, but if you do, there's consequences if you do use it. Like your moral standing with certain characters decreases, certain things like that. Again, it's a very complicated system to implement in a video game, the kind of reputation system to make it work. But I think something like that would be absolutely incredible. And it would make you think more harder about what spells you use and for what reason you use them. Number 2. Exploration needs meaningful payoff, not just empty spaces. So Hogwarts Legacy World was visually stunning, absolutely, but too often exploration led to disappointment. Many caves, ruins, and dungeons felt the same extremely basic pattern, offering little more than a short walk, and a single chest. After several hours, exploration began to feel like busy work rather than discovery. It was not at all engaging. And that just goes back to the earlier point that I discussed. They need to put, meaningful hidden locations with hidden loot and hidden puzzles, that are very hard to get to, that make you want to explore. That's the kind of thing, like when you interact with a character, they should say, oh, by the way, I know in this location there's a one of the NPCs that you talk to in the game. Oh, if you go to this waterfall location, under the waterfall there's a cave right at the back. There used to be a shop with, an item. You can still get it if you battle your way, whatever it may be. But there needs to be a reason to explore. That's the thing. As much as the scenery is beautiful and I love walking around it, I do. There needs to be a reason to push out the boundaries into places you haven't been to get rewards and, bonuses and things like that. Okay, number 1. Enemy variety needs to make combat feel intelligent and dynamic. Enemy encounters were arguably one of the weakest parts of Hogwarts Legacy by far. Not only did players often face the same enemy types repeatedly throughout the game's run, that is one of the biggest pet peeves of video games in general. The fact that they create like 5 or 6 characters, 5 or 6 enemies in a video game, and then throughout the entire game, you're just like battling the same 5 or 6 enemies throughout the entire game. Like that's just the bane of existence of being a gamer in multiple games. It's not just true of this game. It's true of a lot of games. But they were often grouped together in ways that made little sense. A wolf and a spider sitting right next to each other. In the middle of nowhere, not moving or doing anything until you, the player, get close. It was silly and totally illogical. Needlessly to say, combat became predictable and encounters lacked tactical depth, needed to keep battles engaging over time. Yeah, I mean, so this person is saying there's a lot of, you know, things that could be improved on, and absolutely they could. It's the first Hogwarts Legacy game out the gate. I mean, they might have plans to make, you know, 4, 5, 6 or 7 of these games over the next sort of 10 or 15 years. We just don't know. But the thing is, the only thing we can ask is that every iteration that comes out, they make improvements to each game. And let's just hope they improve the next one, make it deeper, the combat, the exploration, and all that kind of stuff. I think for me, exploration is one of the biggest things for myself, personally. I love games where you get to explore off the beaten path. You get rewarded with, you know, exclusive loot, rare kind of artifacts that you can put together and stuff like that. Imagine if you had to make... There was a mission where you had to make a potion, you know, for whatever reason. And one of the ingredients in the potion was in a really difficult to get to location, and you had to explore to find that rare ingredient from an animal that you could only get in one part of the map. It would give you a reason to go there and to explore and to find it. And like, that's the kind of thing that I want to explore. So that's for me, exploration. But I would love to know, guys, so let me know in the live chat or the comments below, if there's one improvement that you could make to Hogwarts Legacy 2 that would make the game better for yourself, you know, what would it be? Would it be deeper combat, more deeper lessons, you know, better magic, you know, more combat skills, exploration, the magical beasts? If you had to choose one thing to improve that would really make it appeal to you, what would you choose? I would love to hear what you guys have to say. So like I say, leave that in the comments or the live chat. I would love to hear your feedback on that. Thanks so much, guys, and I will see you in the next video.